Hello. Uh, who are you?
Hi, Katy. I'm Tembre, and I'm a song leader in County Clare, in kind of like the southwest of Ireland.
I was going to say I'm not sure where County Clare is, so if I'm looking at a map,
Yeah, so
probably
kind of, if you know Galway, have you heard of Galway
Galway. Yeah.
or Limerick or Shannon Airport? So I'm kind of between those areas. So I'm about an hour from the coast.
Oh, amazing, brilliant. And we know each other because you've invited me to do some work with you over the last 6 months. But I just wanted to wonder, could you introduce yourself? What you do? Yeah. What is it that you do in your life?
Great. Okay. Well, I've been leading people in song for about 20 years now in Ireland. Um, it kind of happened organically. I was a new mum at the age of 21, and people knew I'd been singing and said, "Would you like to come and lead a singing group?" So it kind of happened really organically. I had Amelia, my eldest, would have been a few months old, and I went for it, and I kind of got the bug. And so it's like 20 years down the road. I've led a lot of people. I've done early years music. I've done teenagers. I've done choirs, and also what I love is just doing one-off workshops. So for people to join big groups, small groups, and I've led choirs for about 10 years as well. So it's a real passion of mine. And interesting enough, I know we'll probably come back to this, but it's been reinvented what I'm doing because of COVID. It's
Yeah,
lovely. I feel like I've
wonderful.
come home. Feel like I've come home to
I
to
mean,
to what I love.
COVID isn't wonderful. I'm not saying wonderful COVID, but I'm saying it's great that you are finding that you're able to practice still now, because it is so difficult and different now. Whilst we're either in varying forms of lockdown throughout the UK and the Republic of Ireland and across the world. So before COVID, you were running choirs, as you said, and all sorts of things. It sounds like, and lots of different types of groups and with different people of different ages. How has things changed since the beginning of the pandemic? Since lockdown came in March. Was it March for Ireland? Was it?
Yeah, it was. I think I did a concert. I think it was like the beginning of March, and within a week, everything had kind of stopped. Paddy's Day didn't go ahead in Ireland, and when Paddy's Day doesn't go ahead in Ireland, that's a bit of a big deal. So, yeah, it started around that time, and I think it took me a while to find my feet because I'd stopped leading choirs prior to the pandemic, so I didn't have this expectation. People weren't expecting me to come and do my weekly thing, but I was doing regular workshops open to the public. So I kind of took a bit of time just finding my feet with it. And then I decided to just do some Facebook Live sessions. And they got better as the weeks went on. If I look back at those first few sessions, because we're working with the internet, and luckily I've got good internet. And then I went on to Zoom, and I thought, oh, this is interesting. It was a really different way of me leading because I felt obviously I didn't have everyone's voices and I was just singing along with myself with recordings, but there was also a freedom in that, and I kind of started to really enjoy the creativity of it, and people just really needed it, and they suddenly, when they got used to doing online, they started to come to my workshop, so running a weekly one and then running weekly Facebook lives.
Great. Well, I completely empathize with that thing about changing the way you work suddenly and learning all these new skills. So, because as you know, I made lots of videos right at the beginning of lockdown of a cappella songs, and I look back at some of my editing of those videos and I think, oh, it's terrible. I could have done it so much better now because I actually know now how to use editing software. But they had their purpose. There were a reason for doing them at the time, and they helped. So I run choirs like you, and they help the choirs that I run still feel connected through music, and various people have used them as well. So I hear you on that front, definitely. but it's just what you had. I felt like I had a real sense I had to do that at that point, because we can't sing in real life, so we need to do something.
Yeah, and I think it was really, I think when you start suddenly realize you had an audience and people were, enjoying what you were giving to them, which was a gift for ourselves. I'm sure you can relate to that, to being able to continue with what you love doing.
Absolutely.
And also then see that people are getting lots from it, whether it's an a cappella video or a short little workshop. I was like, oh wow, I'm connecting. I'm finding a way to connect. It's kind of it's not the same as in person, but it's like a different kind of magic. It's a different connection, and yeah, really enjoying people's responses and people saying, wow, this is really helping me. This is really helping me in my week, or I love your video, or it's lovely to hear you singing. And
Yeah, definitely, I completely agree. Like there's been had a lot of people who really responded to the offerings of those at that time. And I think I don't know about you, but as lockdown kind of went on, there's been this kind of a bit of a tail off in terms of engagement with certain things, because actually people have had enough of screens, and there's, given that so much is now online, and when you can actually see people,
yeah,
I think you can understand why people might not do quite so much. But I think still people are one-off things, especially I think things which have a bit more kind of specialness. Is that a word?
it is now.
Like something which is unusual and is not a regular every week thing. I think there's still space and people have the energy for that. So
Yeah, and I think it's the nature of our work as leaders. We have to, we can have an agenda, we can have a plan of what we want to do, but we have to adapt constantly, don't we? Even in person in a workshop, we've got to adapt to who's there, what's the sound like, the environment. So we're having to, as an artist, there's nothing permanent, is there? There's nothing absolute sure and
oh yeah,
concrete, so you've got to adapt. And I the last couple of months I found it a bit hard because there haven't been that many people that have wanted to do work online, but I'm having this vision that as we enter winter, I think things will change, because people, it's going to be a real lifeline for people, because as people get colds and flus and there's more cases, it's going to be a lifeline for some people. So I'm kind of holding that.
I think there will definitely be an app. I've had people who come to my Zoom sessions every week, and then some people who haven't come to any, because for different people suits different, different. If you're living on your own, sometimes it can be great to be in a Zoom session, and sometimes it can make you feel more isolated. It's like there's, you just don't know what's going on for everyone. And I think I decided to carry on offering, because I know that it was helping for some people, even if not everyone engaged with it. Like for me, that felt like really important work to do, because about connecting with people.
And I've had days where I've kind of like burnt out online. It was only recently, it was like last week, I think. I just thought, oh my goodness, I've got to come away from this for a couple of days, because I just felt I was missing physical connection. I could see people and it was lovely, but I was actually missing nature and missing the groundedness of being kind of in an environment that doesn't involve a screen. So I just took a step back really for a couple of days, and that helped immensely, because it also, when I come online, it feels like coming home too, because it's been so familiar to me. So it's like singing in person, which I did return to, and I'm doing that now, as well as being online, has been lovely.
Yeah. I think it's about balance, isn't it? And I've had a few sessions with my choir in parks in Birmingham, which have been just like, made people cry, because it's been so lovely to get back in person and sing in person, and made me cry too.
Yeah.
And just really, it's been. I think it's about balance and having. I think you're right. I try. I haven't today actually. I'm going to probably after this go and have a walk down through the woods near me, because I haven't been near trees today, and I know that I need that every day.
Oh, it's so important. I realized my legs weren't as active as they usually are, because obviously we're standing leading groups, and I felt like my top part of my body was nice and exercised and my voice was sounding good, but my legs were kind of like, what's going on? I felt like I had 80-year-old legs. So I was like, I have to get in the forest. And then I find that when I'm in the forest, I sing more. I find I'm creative. I take my phone with me. I, put some tracks down while I'm walking,
Mhm.
and it's all, yeah, it's so good for us, definitely.
I have found that I try and leave my phone at home when I go on a walk for the very reason that I don't want to have any technology with me. So although I quite often am creative on walks, but I made a conscious decision like I'm leaving my phone at home because
Yeah,
I
good
spend too long and I
balance.
get totally addicted. So the reason we know each other at all is because you invited me to do one of your We May Sing events back in June, July,
Yeah,
like a
it
while
was.
ago.
Oh my goodness, I'm looking down on my piece of paper. Yes, it was. It was in June.
And for me it was I hadn't done anything. I've done lots of workshops and leading workshops pre-COVID, and it was the first time I'd done a workshop for people I had no idea who they would be and where they'd be from, and it was just absolutely delightful. It was, there were people from the States, and from Canada and from the UK and from Europe and Ireland, and obviously Ireland is in Europe, and
That's a touchy
um,
subject, but
there we
yeah.
go. Uh, and it was great, and it really worked so well. It was an absolute delight to be part of, and I felt like I'd done a workshop, which I didn't know. I thought I'd just feel like I'd been on a phone call, but I really felt like I'd been on a workshop with all these people. So thank you for inviting me to that. Tell me
Oh,
about that, the We May Sing events.
oh, thank you, Katie. That's so lovely to hear. I've because I think it's so great if it can be a positive experience for us as leaders. It has to be
Mm.
nourishing for us. So it must have been kind of around the end, or it must have been April time or something. I took part in a workshop online in the States run by Maggie Wheeler from the Golden Bridge, and I knew of them, but she was doing like a weekly, she still continues to do, I think they're in their 20s now, 26th session or something, every Saturday night, our night time, their daytime.
Mm.
And I went to it, and there was about 5 or 6 different song leaders that were bringing songs that had been planned as guest leaders. And I was like sitting there going, wow, this is fab. This, I get to actually be in the presence of other leaders. I get to learn songs. And there was hundreds. There was like 200 to 300 people there,
Mm.
on Zoom. And I thought, I want to do this because I'm used to running events here in Ireland. I've done big events and been involved in festivals and things like that. So that side of it was okay. And because I'd had a bit of a run up with Zoom, I thought, well, okay, I'll go for it. So yeah, I wanted to do a version in Ireland, not knowing that it would actually beautifully spread, kind of like got wings really, and have gone out of Ireland more so. There's leaders from the UK and the States joining. So I contacted a few friends in Ireland who are song leaders and said, hey, I've got this idea. What do you think? And they went, oh yeah, that sounds really great. So the 4 of us did We May Sing one, which was in May. And I'm so thankful for them being there at that time, that seed growing, and then as the weeks went by, I thought, well, I want to do this. I want to do this fortnightly, but I want to ask other leaders. So it's just been amazing. It's just been such an organic experience, and to go and take part in workshops, and then have the experience of being a participant, and then kind of getting a sense of other leaders, and knowing what I like and their energy and the songs they bring. I would just have been asking, just like when I asked you, Katie, and it was lovely when you. Well, what's lovely is people say yes, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my god, this is so fun. It seems to be. It's all women so far. It would be great if I could get a couple of men to say yes. Maybe that will happen. But we've had you, we've had Helen Yeomans and Susie Rowe, and Ali Burns, just to name a few. There's been a few from Ireland and the States, and I've just carried on actually. And there's been dips, there's been times when we've had up to 70 people come, and then there's been times when there's been 20.
But
We
but
kind
the
of
thing to remember is that that's 20 people who are getting massive amount out of that, and I think it yeah, I was just going to say like it. I know what you mean when you think, oh, well, you can have this number of people, but actually, sometimes when with my choir, for instance, some weeks we've had 10 or 11 people come, having had 35 previously, and actually, it's just a different quality of experience when there's 10 or 11 people. You have a more intimate space in a way, and you can be quite intimate on Zoom, even though it's even though you're all at a distance, actually, I think,
Yeah.
obviously you want to, it would be great to have 100
Yeah.
people, but that's what I
But
don't want to say.
it's also whatever's that workshop's meant to be, isn't it? It's the energy of it and who comes makes it. So we couldn't actually do it without the people that are coming. And what's been really lovely is I've been able to collaborate with other song leaders, which I think I've missed over these years. Like I've been leading people in song for 20 years, but there was always something that I felt I missed, and it was like having an ally beside me, maybe leading a part with me. Whenever I got to experience that, I loved it. So I loved reaching out. I've been really enjoying reaching out to other leaders, and then that hour and a half where the three of us take it in turns to lead a song. Every workshop has been unique in terms of who comes and who leads. So the energy of every workshop has been really different. So it's kind of giving that, holding the structure of it and holding that space for everyone and being inclusive, but then giving it over and just trusting that it's going to be the event that it's going to be.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was a real pleasure to do the one I did. I think I'm doing another one with you
You
quite
are.
soon. When is that?
Yeah, you're going to do We May sing 14. We're about to have number 12, so you're going to be coming to us on the 28th of November. So
Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah.
And so you've got a couple more before then, have you?
Yeah, so we've got one coming this weekend, which we have Sian Croose and Penny Stone, which I'm really looking forward to because I have a connection with, I have a connection with them both, but Sian would have come to Ireland, and I think I took part in a harmony singing workshop with her when I was 18. Now, that was quite a while ago. I know I look quite young, but that was quite a while ago. And I saw her lead a group of people in a room in 4-part harmony, and I was like, oh my God. And I'd been singing since, and writing songs since I was an early teen. But this was really special. And I thought, wow, and it was that moment, an inspiration. So to actually then reach out to her 20 years later and say to her, would you come and lead? So we've seen each other a couple of times before that. So yeah, and to have Penny as well, which is, she's great. And everyone's brilliant. But it's so lovely for them to say yes, and I get to share that time with them too.
And where can people find out about these things?
Yeah, so if they go to my website, tembresong.com.
Wonderful. And I mean, singing, I think we've just got to keep singing, really, haven't we?
We have, in any way we can. I'm just hoping the weather here in Ireland, it's always changeable. I'm doing singing once a week here in my local community gardens under this barn. So it's still
Inside, outside.
Yeah, so it's considered outside. So I've got 15 of us booked in every week, and I've booked till the end of October, and I'm just gonna see, because the weather can suddenly turn, and we can all wrap up and we can put our waterproofs on and our umbrellas but we want it to be as pleasant as we can. So I suppose I'm loving the balance of having online and having in person right now, and I'm just gonna keep that going, like all of us.
Yeah, and it will be so wonderful on the day when we can actually go into a room and be close to people and sing. And it will be all the more beautiful for the absence, won't it? I think.
Oh, and it's so good for us on a regular basis to be singing. So good for our well-being and socially as well. I remember when a few weeks ago when I stood in the middle of a group and taught them the harmonies, and then we all sang together for the first time. I was like, cried, just like you said. I stood in the middle and I just cried because they weren't my voices singing; they were everyone's unique voices, and that's just so important at this time.
Yeah, and so I think keep singing, everyone, in whatever way you can.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes Zoom is giving us the freedom. I don't know if you've noticed that. I feel like for some people that are a bit nervous about singing, that Zoom singing is kind of giving them that privacy so that they can kind of let it rip and try things out and improvise and sing along with us, but we can't hear them. So there's there is positives. I know there's negatives, but there is
It's
positives
a
about
different
that.
experience, isn't it, to being in a room? But I think of course there are some really good things about it, and it has enabled. It's also, I don't know about you, but like with my group, everyone has their name in the bottom of their Zoom box, so everyone's learnt everyone's names. When before they didn't know everyone's names, because you can feel awkward after 3 weeks having not asked someone's name. So there's
Yeah,
another positive from Zoom.
that is, and I'm so good with faces, but names are hard for me. So yeah, it's really so I it's really great, Katy.
Katy, it's
Yeah.
very good. www.tembre.
Oh, well, thank you for this. It's so lovely to talk to you. It was lovely to meet you a few months ago and lovely to chat with you now.
Brilliant. It's really good to talk to you, and best of luck with all the We May Sing workshops coming up.
Thank you.